sale of 60% stake in SSNIT hotels. But after they announced their intention to strike, we saw a withdrawal of Rock City, belonging to Brian Champong, from that deal. And then later on, we heard SSNIT also announce that they are no longer going ahead with the deal. So organized labor seemingly got what they want. But there is a further push for the dissolution of the entire SSNIT board. And as of this morning, it's not too clear whether or not organized labor are still on strike or not. But with all of this that has been going on, obviously my first question to you would be your reaction to this action by organized labor and the results that have been yielded by the action.
Oh, I think the decision by labor to embark upon strike is legitimate. Why? Because, look, one of the means by which public opinion can be expressed is through what? Strike, demonstration, and whatnot. So, as a pressure group, or if you like, an interest, all right, they have every right to express themselves when their interest is at stake. You'll be wondering why are they striking now? Is it because of something that affects their interests? Why are you not hearing them? Now, it's clear that if you understand political science, you will agree with me that TUC or labor unions are a part of what we call interest group or pressure group. They seek to influence policy and also promote the interests of their members. That is basically their definition. So anything that affects their interest, they would definitely use the public opinion tools such as strike, lockouts, boycotts, and the rest to express themselves. So this is nothing but a true reflection of what they are supposed to do relative to the issues on the ground. What they have achieved, I think the first step is good. They will, from all intents and purposes, they want to continue and get all the basics right so that at the end of the day, they can sit comfortably in their homes and, when they do the assessment, they realize that they achieve the interests of their members. That is basically what any interest group or pressure group seek to do, to promote the interests of its members.
Are there any implications of this for government?
Oh, obviously, when you allow pressure group, especially big ones like this, to continue to agitate, they create tension in the country. They also create all manner of heat within the political space. And above all, it undermines productivity. If you allow them you don't meet their conditions, and you allow them to carry on with their threats, man hours are going to be lost. And that means that labor productivity will go down. And what is all more painful, if you don't act as a government, is that when they go on strike and they sit home for then any number of days, at the end of the day, you are going to pay them. So why do you want to go through this difficult road? And settle them, let them go to work. Because the more they stay at home, the more you pay for no work done. And is it a legitimate business for government which is struggling to finance itself? It's No. So government should do the needful so that you take them off the seats and then you move on. I have always said that political parties must have what we call political officers who will be able to read political meanings into this and act timeously to safeguard such situations so that government doesn't incur the pleasure of such groups and also would lose revenue because productivity will be stored at a point in time. But the parties, when they put their system together, they care a hoot. They don't care a hoot about those who are supposed to be playing this role as political officers. Even if they are there, I don't see how effective they are. They must look sharp and see that all these things are addressed.
Now, I mean, we've got people like Richard Ehangba, who is communications director for the MPP, say that it's unfortunate what SNIT has done for there to be a termination of the sale of 60% stake. And he says it's when it comes to corporate governance, it's not good for corporate governance, and it sets a bad precedent. Is there any merit in that position? Considering the kind of effects, say, a government shutdown could have on
So
running of
you
the
will not
day-to-day activities of government.
you will not blame Richard Ayagba, given the cap he is wearing. That is the role that he needs to play. That is a statement that ought to come from his mouth. All right. But you ask yourself, you weigh that against the interests of workers. Which one holds sway? Obviously, the interests of workers holds sway, because the properties we are talking about, it's not government property per se. We are talking about property directly owned by labor. Yes, government is holding that in trust for them. So obviously, if labor believes that that whole process they don't understand and it will not inure to their benefit, obviously they will kick against it. Remember, the basic aspect of what pressure group is to what influence government policy and also protect the interests of their what members. So once you cross these two fine lines, any pressure group, any interest group, such as the labor union, will strike and defend the interests of their members. It's pure and simple. But if you don't know, it's your own problem. Then you must be able to understand these dynamics. And that is why you need a political officer, let me come back to it, who understand these things, so that quickly you know that, hey, with this group, giving their membership and giving the role they play in the state and all other factors, you will not allow them to take this decision. Let us meet their interests, and then we restore governance to its proper position. That's all. Let's call for what a serious analysis by a political officer.
So it looks like when Labour wants to bite and they want to demand something of government, they can. So moving forward with the success of this action taken by Labour, what lessons should Labour themselves be drawing, from this moving forward in the interest of all workers across the length and breadth of the country?
They have realized that certain things went bad. They need to right those wrongs. For instance, those who represent them on the board, obviously, they are not doing enough to protect the interests of what labor. Labor must be able to look at it and address that concern immediately. Apart from that, they also look at what UTAG is demanding. The membership, the composition, and the role that they play. There's something basically wrong with that. So UTAG also is taking an issue from that. All these are what weaknesses inherent within the system that labor, now that it's seen, should be able to address them to meet their interests. And that is the lesson that they need to learn the hard way, unfortunately. But it's also a good beginning for better things to come, so that the welfare of members are always what maintained.
And for government themselves, what should they be looking? Of course, you've touched on the fact that government must sit up. I mean, but beyond that, for government themselves, looking at how they were pushing for this deal to go through and the resistance that they've met, what should they glean from this?
Yeah, a number of issues come to mind, and government must take what interest of that. That you don't want to always have a coalition cause with labor. It is unnecessary. It is strategically wrong, and it undermines productivity and, by extension, effective governance of the state. Government should not go on that score. And I've seen it time and again that government will allow problems of this nature to fester and then be dilly-dally around it, and then necessary state resources. Government must curb that. In addition to that, government must also to take a second look and make sure board that they constitute will represent both interests of government support members. If it becomes skewed towards a certain direction, obviously you have a reaction. And remember, the groups that we are talking in this country, for instance, this labor union is one of the biggest in this country. So if you are alive to public those pressure groups and the way they can be used for good and bad activities, obviously you would not want to cross them anywhere, any day. So all these things are useful lessons that government must learn, and so that when it's acting, it can act based on sound counsel. All right. I think that is the way to go.
Very well. Professor Asah-Asante, I'm grateful that you've spoken to us here on the Morning Star.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
May yours also be smooth.
Right. Professor Asah-Asante is with the University of Ghana. He is a political science lecturer, a political scientist as well, of course, joining us and helping us understand from that perspective this action that has been taken by organized labor. Of course, you're still listening to The Morning Star here on Star 103.5 FM.